Hello everyone, and now welcome to Game 1 in a series, an Undead mirror match with two of the biggest powerhouses in Undead, 120 and WFZ. WFZ spawning as the blue Undead player on the bottom right hand side of the map, all the way over here. Meanwhile, on the top left, we have 120 spawning as the red Undead. For all of you guys who follow me regularly, well, belated Merry Christmas to you. Didn't have time to try and cast on Christmas Day, hence this bonus Saturday cast for you guys. Now, this game was taken from the WCA, hence the higher caliber level of players that we're taking a look at, and I am really enjoying all of these replays so far. Have not watched this game yet, but we'll see how all of this particular game does go down here, as we are going into a Death Knight versus a Death Knight mirror match. Now, because this is Death Knight versus Death Knight, it looks as though Crypt Fiends are going to be abounding, as it is a Crypt Fiend opening from both 120 and WFZ. Now, Crypt Fiend can easily attack, deal some damage to that Apprentice Wizard, walk back over here, and then try to stay on Blight. That could work out fairly well. You can see that the Apprentice Wizard is now currently doing that attacking right there. Not really going to be too much of an issue, since it does have that medium armor that does take reduced damage there. You do not want to kill this Apprentice Wizard, though. Did he kill it? Oh, he killed it right as the Death Knight was out. A little bit of a good timing there. Meanwhile, WFZ is now out and about. He did not do the same Crypt Fiend strategy, as the Death Knight is now going to be perhaps trying to pressure a little bit earlier. Across over here, he's going to be actually going after the Kobold Geomancer, a little bit of a better item, so to speak, taking down the Kobolds and hoping or allowing these skeletal minions to tank a little bit more of that damage. All right, Kobold Geomancer quickly taking down Tome of Strength, already picked up there, and now he's just going to try and creep out the center creep camps, and that actually may work out fairly well. The damage should be pretty easy, pretty. Oh my gosh, is that shotgun? Yeah, wow. Talk about knowing the amount of damage right there. The WFZ now bringing in 4 skeletal minions and 2 Crypt Fiends. Meanwhile, 120 is going to be counterattacking with a Death Knight who's already at level 2, Mantle of Intelligence, Claws of Attack +6. All right, one of the big bonuses, though, if you are fighting in an Undead versus Undead mirror match, your opponent's Blight does also help you. On top of that, Halls of the Dead is currently being upgraded, so the damage is not really going to be all that much, as you can see that the Acolytes are now getting pressured. This is definitely going to be a problem here if you see a handful of units getting taken down. WFZ trying to finish off some of those skeletal minions, and if 1 or 2 of those Acolytes get taken out during this very, very vulnerable time, things go south very quickly, just because of the amount of effort it takes to try and stop your upgrade on Halls of the Dead, train up an Acolyte so you don't fall behind on gold, and then come back in. However, that is not the case. Really well played by 120 there to make sure that the experience or that gold loss was not significant. Kobold going to get taken down out over there. As you can see, the Death Knight still just now getting Unholy Aura, 200 experience on the dot, as the units perhaps going to be picking up, doing a little bit of shopping, perhaps picking up another Rod of Necromancy. No Nerubian Tower, though. That is a surprise. No Nerubian Tower means no Cold Tower. No Cold Tower means that his opponent could have easily done a similar strategy to him to try and place down that pressure. Wow, we do have 4 Crypt Fiends currently battling it out here. A 3-1-1 creep camp once more. Death Knight already up to 850 hit points compared to 800 here. Not really that big of a difference, because 120 does have better items so far. WFZ still wandering around here hoping to take down even smaller green creep camps, and this may end up becoming a bit of an issue. The items, the amount of experience that 120 has is significantly greater than what WFZ is going to have, short of this particular creep camp right here. All right, Lightning Shield quickly being used there. Is it going to be backed around? And you can see the Enforcer now taking damage off of that Lightning Shield. The Crypt Fiend, however, not taking any bonus damage there. Meanwhile, back across over here, level 3 on the Death Knight coming in from 120 as well. So the big question is going to be, can this Death Knight get to level 3 here? And if it is going to be level 3, then he's pretty much took away that earlier advantage that his opponent had from him. So far, Death Knight doing a fairly good job there. Items are still very much in favor of 120 there, but Boots of Quoth the Lost over Mantle of Intelligence, or Robe of Magi, excuse me. That +6 intelligence gives that Death Knight so much more mana that it is going to be difficult to try and overcome that damage just through simple death coils. 375 mana versus 420. On top of that, you have the additional bonus regeneration as well, as the Rod of Necromancy, or excuse me, the Tomb of Relics does get pressured down a little bit. These Acolytes running around back across over here, as we may see as perhaps a Scroll of Town Portal executed by WFZ here in just a moment. You can see Lich now being caught in a very, very dangerous spot, as we are now looking at what are those attacking? Their skeletal minions just getting picked apart pretty easily there, as the Lich now trying to fight back, perhaps focus down some of these units over here. Oh, this might turn into a really, really bad spot to be in. Lich coming in from the front. Death Knight right there. Are we perhaps going to see a Frost Nova? No Frost Nova there, as the Crypt Fiend taking a lot of damage. There's that Frost Nova. Death Knight looking for another Death Coil. There is that Death Coil again, as we are going to be turning around. Death Coils coming in for days, as the units are now backing off once more. All right, Death Knight here may try to do a little bit of pathing. There is another Death Coil there. Both sides pretty much even throughout these fights here, as a Clarity Potion quickly used by the Death Knight, Rejuvenation Potion being used by that Death Knight, regenerating hit points and mana at this stage, as the Lich should be able to clear out these 3 creep camps here to get to level 2 very fast. I think that is going to be a very big difference overall, because WFZ was much more selective in his creeping. He crept out creep camps that the Death Knight really should not have been creeping out earlier on, but those are very, very much more in the center portion of the map. Now, this means that the Lich can pretty much creep in the comfort of his neck of the woods without being in danger of getting shut down by the Lich or the Death Knight or the opposing Undead army. Death Knight here now taking a lot more damage. There is a Frost Nova. Is this Death Knight going to be able to get away? Down to 200 hit points, down to 150. And he will be heading back home. Slaughterhouse should be upgrading or training up some obsidian statues here in just a moment, as we may be looking at a Dark Ranger as a third hero, which is very common in an Undead versus Undead mirror match. Lich now sitting at level 2, Rod of Necromancy, Ring of Protection, Slippers of Agility. Some of those items will be sold. Yes, Slippers, Ring of Protection was sold. Slippers of Agility not sold. Not quite sure why that is the case. I would have thought that the Slippers of Agility would have been sold there, or it could be given to this Dark Ranger here for that additional +3 damage, which does help out tremendously. All right, Death Coil. It looks like a Kobold Taskmaster quickly taken out. Wand of Mana Stealing. Death Knight now needs to run all the way back home and stay very close to this obsidian statue to stay relatively good on life. It looks as though, yes, that is going to get taken down right there, as we could be looking at a bit of a creep jack here in just a moment. Off over here, perhaps taking down all of these green creep camps. You can see some skeletal minions scouting out in the center portion, and they will be scouted out here in just a second. Death Knight still needs to get healed up, and he is still very, very low on hit points. 300 hit points and climbing at this stage, but you got to be careful. You cannot have a half hit point Death Knight going into the next fight. That is just not going to be that good for you at all. All right. Assassin down to 111 hit points, almost taken down right there, as we are going to be looking at a flank right there. All right, here we go. Are they going to be able to get in enough damage there? Takes down an item, picks up a Ring of Protection +2. We could have a Scroll of Town Portal to try and get away. Death Knight gets a Death Coil down onto the units, as here we go. Both sides still fighting. All right, this Crypt Fiend very, very low on hit points. Frost Nova comes in. Death Knight now in the front lines. Silence onto the Death Knight there. Death Knight very low on hit points. Runs all the way back. WFZ is in a bit of trouble. Death Coil lands down. Frost Nova just a little bit there, late there, as both sides fighting. A red Crypt Fiend finally gets taken down. A blue Crypt Fiend finally gets taken down, as both sides still fighting it out here. All right, Obsidian Statue, this is pretty much an even fight all the way through. No, one Crypt Fiend does get taken down. Death Coil does come in, and WFZ being the first one to have to trigger a retreat, losing another Crypt Fiend at the very last moment. And that may be it. In a close match like this, 1 or 2 Crypt Fiends may be the difference between victory and defeat right now. 48/50 compared to 44/50. There is that slight difference there, as the Death Knight picking up a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, Dust of Appearance, And still, I would have suspected that the Death Knight should have backed off, allowing the Dark Ranger and Lich to both level up while keeping that Death Knight on Blight. That Death Knight still very low on hit points here, has to be very careful about his upcoming strategies and upcoming choices. Potion of Lesser Invulnerability is on that Lich. Gauntlets of Ogre Strength now onto that Death Knight. Death Knight up to 1,000 hit points. If he even had, transferred it to another hero there. Dark Ranger or Lich? Lich may have it now. Yeah, up to 600 hit points there as we're looking at a potential creep jack here. But the creeps are just so low level that it may not make that big of a difference. All right. Couple of easy kills there. Dark Ranger right in the front. Are we going to see a silence? What is going on? That Dark Ranger really just sitting in that front line, completely shut down there. And WFZ fell asleep at the wheel. He must be hitting himself right now for letting such a play go down. Dark Ranger falls at level 2, and I think this is just going to be it. Dark Ritual there to try and stop the bleeding a bit, but that is not going to be the way you use your units the most. A missed Death Coil there, and there is the GG 120 taking game number 1 in this series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed game number 1. Please stay tuned for game number 2.